Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Music Podcast, where today, sitting in with me is Parker Halub and Leo Unnermark from Wings of Steel. Wings of Steel is an LA-based traditional heavy metal band that was founded by Parker and Leo in 2019. In 2022, the band released a self-titled debut EP, and in May of this year, Wings of Steel released their brand new full-length record, Gates of Twilight. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the writing process. We're going to talk about maybe touring, all that kind of stuff. Man, Parker, Leo, it's awesome to have you, man.
Privilege being here, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Absolutely. Traditional heavy metal band. We don't get too much of that anymore, man. This is traditional in the greatest sense too. I grew up with the 80s metal thing, that new wave of British heavy metal kind of thing. Twin guitars and all kinds of soloing and the soaring vocals, all that stuff. You guys have all of that. You comfortable with traditional heavy metal band?
I think traditional heavy metal, I am comfortable with that because what traditional heavy metal says to me is fuck rules, right? And we don't like to ride within a certain box. We don't stay within perimeters like that. So you'll find a lot of dynamics in our albums. And I think that's what original heavy metal is supposed to be like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really, it's all, I think putting any kind of band in a genre, it's always a tough thing because I think most bands, they have many different influences from a lot of different places. And I think with our sound is because a lot of our influences are kind of traditional heavy metal or the stuff that all these traditional heavy metal bands were listening to. Right. That's like a close kind of vein that we can kind of say, okay, we're this style, but the reality is we just write the music we write, and it sounds how it sounds.
Yeah. I mean, if you go back to it like an album like Sad Wings of Destiny by Priest, right? You'll have some heavy metal gems on there, but you also get something like Dreamer and stuff like that, and it's all over the place, and it's taken from a lot of different influences, obviously from those musicians growing up, and that's kind of how we like to keep it as well.
Yeah, and that's cool that you mentioned that. One of my favorite records, and one of my favorite songs on there is Epitaph, and then that's just the mellowest tune you could possibly have, probably, right? But that's what makes that record so great. And I thought about that kind of thing when I was listening to this new record. Gates of Twilight has all those things. It has those mellow moments. It has that deeper sound to it. It's not completely in your face constantly 100% of the time. Backs off a little, comes back. There's a ebb and a flow to the music. Really, learn from the masters, it seems. Those great records like Sad Wings of Destiny. We have all of that on this record. Well done. You guys met in 2019, studying music. How about that? Musicians Institute, I understand, in LA. Before that, were you LA guys? Where'd you grow up? A lot of music in the house, that kind of thing?
So I think for me, definitely lots of music growing up in my household. So I'm born and raised in Sweden, in Stockholm originally. And growing up, tons of blues records playing in the living room on vinyl, and so I was definitely raised, born and raised on music. But yeah, moving out to LA to study music back in late 2018, met Parker, and yeah.
Man, wow, that's a long journey, man.
It is. It would take a long interview to go through everything.
Yeah, wow.
So for me, the rough overview is not quite the same. I grew up out here. I grew up in LA. I'm from Thousand Oaks, which is like a little it's like a little suburb if you're just outside of LA, but if you don't know, it's basically LA. Yep. So I grew up out here, and then I took like a like an exit exam from high school. So I did like 2 years of high school and I just said, fuck this. And then I went to music school for 2 years. And then I met Leo. But yeah, growing up though, I wasn't blessed with the same parents with a extensive music collection. I met Leo's dad, man, and this guy is, he has a great taste, and I see where Leo gets a lot of his stuff from. I kind of picked up stuff, but I mean, we live in the day and age of the internet, and I think that was the advantage because I would find one band and then I could, I'm on YouTube or on iTunes or whatever, and I can look and pretty soon I discovered all the stuff. So
Yeah, it is. It's great. Being an old guy, I grew up with no internet and, it was, I mean, if you didn't go get the record, you didn't hear it. Because my stuff wasn't on the radio, you know what I mean? They're not playing, Sad Wings Destiny on the radio. So, you had to go buy it. And that was the only way to hear it. And, it was, now we have whatever you like, and I mean, you listen to something you like, you get something that's related, comes on right after it, and you get hooked on something else. It's a pretty great thing. It can be a curse as well, but yeah, but for you, it sounds like that was the way you discovered a lot of these the earlier music.
yeah, totally. And I mean, I will say too, like it's a blessing and a curse. I think it's a blessing because of how much music is out there that you can now like very easily discover that you otherwise would not have been able to. And then also just being a band, and like we don't need a label to put our record on the shelves of all the big stores. Like we can now do it without a label. We can have people in pretty much every country that has access to the internet listening to our stuff, But on the flip side is that you can't really replace the intimacy of having a real physical copy, whether it be a CD or go a step further, even a vinyl. Just picking it up, and when you're sitting there and like you're making a point to listen to the music, you're much more immersed in it. You're sitting there, you have like the album cover that's like big, and you can see all the details. Yeah, and you start to get those connections. You can pull out the liner notes. You can see who's in the band and who did what on the record and the lyrics and everything. And that, and I mean, our biggest thing that we've been doing is selling CDs, physical copies, and like, people haven't forgotten that. And I still believe, especially in this style of music, it's a very important thing, and it's totally there.
Yeah. It's great to hear that because I'm an old school guy. I love to know who played on the record, know who produced it, know who mastered it, who the band thanks. I sat and listening to this stuff, just reading liner notes, and it was an event. I sat down, threw the record on, dropped the needle, and I was there for a couple hours, if not the whole day, reading, looking, artwork, absorbing all that music.
That used to be the thing, right? You'd be like, oh fuck, tonight I'm gonna listen to Black Sabbath. And you would make a thing out of it. You'd buy the food, you'd buy the beer, you'd get settled in, you drop the needle, and you'd be like, all right, let's do this, and then go heaven or whatever, and it'd be like the event for the evening. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. I mean, then going to buy records and bringing them home, and like I said, that was the only way to hear it. So it was a huge thing, and you can you guys embrace that. I love that, and the full length record, and it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has sequencing going on. I see that with this record as well. Into the Sun, I think, closing the record. It's just a great way to go. I mean, it's just, it kind of winds everything, wraps everything up. It would be different if it was in the beginning of the record, and that's another old school thing that goes with this kind of music as well. I think this kind of traditional heavy metal embraces that, that journey that you go through the album. What kind of thought did you guys put into the sequencing? Quite a lot, it seems like.
Well, I think I'll kind of say on that note too. I think having designing and sequencing your songs so that they play as an album is, I actually think that's kind of a thing that's distinct to heavy metal, because if you look at other newer styles of music, it's all, I mean, they're hardly even putting out albums anymore.
Right.
And it's kind of just a lot of it's designed to just grab people's attention and, put the best stuff first. And then, with streaming too, it's people are listening to albums less and less because they're just picking and choosing songs and throwing them in playlists.
Yeah.
But in our case, because of how we do things, we wanted to have a great thing so you can play the whole album, because it's even though the songs individually are great and they're their own thing in and of themselves, you want to have something that is a continuous experience.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of interesting from our perspective of the order in which we wrote the songs as we were writing the record, and then how they ended up actually being ordered on the album themselves. And it was really just we didn't necessarily write the music in like, okay, we need like an album opener or a closer or whatever. We kind of just wrote what we wrote, and then said, okay, like what song feels natural where. So, funnily enough, as a little piece of that, like Liar and Love, the opening track, that was actually the last song that we wrote when we were writing the album. And then inversely, Into the Sun was the second track that we wrote when we were doing the album. And Gates of Twilight was the first track. So it's kind of an interesting
It is.
but we tried a few orders and we got it and it came out good. So
Yeah.
To further add to that, I think we're listening to our music as well, and like Parker said, each and every song is a journey on its own. But it also creates a nice fluidity depending on how you place it, and take that to a live setting as well. You can get a bunch of different feelings when you go to a live concert. Like you can have bands who just go balls to the wall the entire time, and that's great.
Right.
That's beautiful, but you can also have something where you go balls to the wall, you take it down a little bit, and then you hit them with something else. And it's like a painter using different colors, and it's beautiful to be able to integrate that in a live scenario as well. And then Into the Sun being the last track, it's beautiful how you can leave, finish off with a song that kind of takes a journey somewhere else, and then you pick it up on the next album. And it's beautiful to us to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to me to hear it. I'll tell you, I really love it. It's really great. Yeah, I hear a lot of Priest, Diamonds and Rust, and kind of Slave of Sorrows there, and Beyond the Realms of Death, one of my favorites, and She Cries kind of has that mood. I hear Dio influences in the lyrics, especially. Jeff Tate and Queensryche kind of influence. These are all bands I love. I mean, I absolutely love these artists, and you're bringing that back with your own style, though. It's not, you're not just doing their stuff, and playing their game. You've got your own thing that is very reflective of those styles, which is, I respect and appreciate that for sure. Written and recorded in less than 10 weeks is what I'm understanding. That is, 2.5 months, right? Written and recorded. Crazy, man. Tell me about the writing process for you guys.
It all went so fast that I feel like I barely remember it. But it was kind of like one long high, and then you kind of come down and you're like, you're a little hungover from it, and you're like, okay, and then you do it again. It's beautiful because of the situation where I live here in Sweden, Parker's out in LA. I come out on a tourist visa, which allows me to stay for 90 days. Hence the 10 weeks that we had to write this. And we didn't set out to write 10 songs or whatever. It could have been 12, could have been 8. But as we're writing, we're kind of like, it's starting to, an idea starting to grow like, well, one song per week could be kind of nice. And well, we were able to do just that, I guess. And of course, we do have some ideas going into the thing. I have some voice recordings here. Parker has some stuff that he's been working on.
All right.
Some things make the cuts, some things don't. Most of the stuff we just come up with when we're together, because ultimately, when you take the ideas, you put them together, that's when it creates, Wings of Steel.
Yeah. Yeah. And you did this together, like together, physically together in the same room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
this room right here, man. So
Yeah.
this one, and then also we have our studio, which it's like a long story short. Parents renovated the house like 15 years ago. House was built in the early 60s around like the Cuban Missile Crisis. So a lot of the houses in like this track here, they were built with like a bomb shelter. Previous owner had like filled it in. So they renovated the backyard. They dug it out. They're like, oh shit. It's like this 10 by 10 by 6. It's like this concrete box. So
Nice.
fast forward to 2020, me and Leo were living out in Hollywood, and then there's all the shutdown and all that stuff. So we in
Right.
paper thin walls in the apartment, so we can't record vocals. So I'm like, oh, we can go and turn the bomb shelter into a studio and record some metal music down there. So
Nice. No better place for metal music than a bomb shelter, man.
that's right.
I love it, man. Very cool. Leather and Lace, the new video. Right? You do it. Will we see more videos? How do you like the video process?
So we actually have another music video from a song from the album coming out next Friday.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that'll be cool. But yeah, actually, so funnily enough, these two videos were actually both shot on the same day at the same location. So we did the Leather and Lace video first, and then we did the other one next. And we both partially because of our we're an independent band, we have like a minimal budget and
Sure.
and stuff like that. But also just because like we wanted to just keep a more like stripped down concept. We didn't want to get like too caught up in the whole, like you'll see some music videos that have like a full on storyline and it's like, man, like there's probably like a big massive production. It's like, nope, just here's us playing the song. You get the visuals, you get some cool shots and some lights, and
Yep.
that's but yeah, so that was pretty much it. The guy who did it is a guy named Patrick Fogarty. He's like a guy, a videographer out here, but
Yeah.
cool. It's fun to work with. We all got up there, set up all the shit, and did some takes, and then that was it.
It's
I
cool.
think music videos have proven to be a really great avenue for us to use. Putting out our first music video for the song Wings of Steel, it did really great. It's probably the best traction that we've had overall. And it's just one of those things that kind of still lives on in a certain sense. Ever since MTV, there's still
Mhm.
beauty to it. Still get the visuals, you get the heavy metal going, takes you back. So
Yep.
we're very excited to for people to see what we got coming next Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too. I'll just add really quick. Like it's good to put like a face to the band,
Right.
face to the music. I think people really appreciate that, and especially nowadays we live in such a heavily visual day and age. I think it's important from a business perspective as well to have that so that you can reach people on that avenue as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm watching this video, and you guys are, you're rock stars, man. I mean, you look great in the camera. Lean, mean. It's just a great looking rock and roll band too. And that, I mean, as much as we want to say it's, all about the music, that it does help when you have this band that is visually stunning, which I think you guys are. And I'm looking at the band in the video, and there's five guys. We don't, what is you guys do write the music. I see in the credits you got a drummer, Mike Mayhem, and you two guys. Who plays on the album? And who do we see in the video? Are these permanent members? How's that? How's the membership of the band working?
So
Oh,
basically,
well, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Leo. It's all good.
we're being too modest, both of us. Yeah. So basically, me and Parker, we write everything, record most things except for the drums, which we technically also write, and then we run the business and everything. So pretty much we have Mr. Stefan John Bailey coming in helping us on rhythm guitar when we play live. Johnny Shankle has been helping us out on bass, and then Mike Mayhem who also plays on both of our albums that we put out. Both, yeah, and then it's me and Parker. Parker records both guitar and bass on the albums, and I do all the vocals, backing vocals.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's simple. We have our vision, and we're very like we know what we want to do. And
Right.
we just work with people who are cool with that dynamic, and it's all like it's all a good vibe. It's not like it's gonna it's not like, oh, I'm not like, no, it's like this is just the situation. We have the
Yeah,
song and we have the track, and we need somebody who works with our dynamic, and that's really all it is.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it's and it's working, man. And I mean, it works for the record for sure, and the video looks great. With all of you guys out there. So it's a great thing you got going. Independent artist. Is that by choice, or by necessity?
I would say both, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, I think had we had, we've received several different offers from, smaller and mid-tier labels. And
mhm,
I mean, the thing is that we're not like, because we live in a day and age where like there's the internet and we can put out our music and anybody across the world can hear it without a label. That off the bat is like, okay. And then, B, it's like there's so many different bands, there's so many artists out there. Like a label's not going to come up to a band that doesn't have anything released, or they don't have any social media or anything like that, unless you're already some big guy who's friends with the head of the label, of course. But
right.
like, so really it kind of started as like, all right, well, it's not realistic for us to expect to work with them. And then as we've kind of gone about this, it's become something like, well, we can do this pretty damn well ourselves. And when you sign with a label, they're generally going to take the lion's share, if not all of the income that comes off of your music. And I mean, like we're the cliche starving artists. I live here with my parents. Leo lives with his mom. Like we're not living luxurious lifestyles, but it's kind of
Right.
because we put everything we have into the music. And so the thing is like if we can do all this stuff ourselves, and we can all the income that comes back from the music can go back into the band as opposed to into the pocket of a record label. Let's keep doing that. And I mean it's been working for us, and it's been continuing to grow. And I
Mhm.
mean there's a few newer notable bands out there that are actually doing like really well. And they're without a label. Like two examples, like a band like Dirty Honey, they're like hard
Yep.
rockish, like they're doing really great. They're not on a label. Then a band like the Dead Daisies doing really well too. They're not on a label.
Yep.
I mean, and there's that's just in the rock world. Of course, outside of that, there's other examples as well. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, Leo, you can continue if you want.
Well said, my brother. Well said. You left me barely anything left to say. So awesome. But no, I think to further add to that a little bit, it's not like we're against signing or anything like that, but we definitely want terms that are acceptable to us. We put in all our life's energy and money and everything into it, and we're not just going to take whatever. But
Right.
basically, like there are two big reasons you want to sign with a label too, at least two that stand out, and one is money, and the other one being exposure. And these two things, like Parker said, we work our ass off and we make enough money to invest everything, and
Mhm.
we've been able to do that, and luckily enough, we have an amazing fan base, and some of these people they also they kind of help us out in some endeavors and spread the word. So the exposure and the way we go about our business and invest our money into it has been working out really well. So yeah, we're hoping to be able to stay on this track, and yeah, we'll see.
I
Yeah.
mean, we'll do it, if it turns out that, none of the offers we got fit our terms, and then, we just continue to build it independently, then great, we'll do that. But I
Mhm.
mean, I think another huge, huge elephant in the room I'll say on this point too is like, when you work with the label, and I mean, this would be like, if we were going to work with somebody, this would be a big point of negotiation for us. But it's one of those things where like we don't want a label telling us what songs we can and can't release, because if you
Right.
listen to the Gates of Twilight album, there's a lot of variety on there, and I can guarantee you that we could get a label and they would look at a song like Leather and Lace or Slave of Sorrows or something, when you also have a song like Fall in Line on the on the record, and they go like,
Mhm.
you're two different styles, why don't you just stick to this one thing or stick to this other thing? And it's like,
Right.
dude, fuck that, man. We want to write what we write. That's what gives it the life.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not playing by rules. You're doing what you do. And I have so much respect for that because yeah, you don't want to be a product of somebody else's ideal. You have your idea of what you want to do, and it works for me, man. I'll tell you, this is one of the best records I've heard in a very, very long time. I really enjoy it. It's something, really something. Um, the cover art, again, kind of, indigenous to the heavy metal thing. There's always been some great cover art in these records. You have that. How important do you think it is in today's world? We really don't get, full 12 by 12 record kind of, big art anymore. And tell me how you found your artist. Spencer Caligiuri. He did both of the records, right? Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the artwork.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think the artwork is super important. I mean, you mentioned that it helps if the band looks good or whatever, and it's the same for the album cover, man. I mean, the album cover should reflect the sound of the album, but in visual terms.
Mhm.
I think it's super important. I know Parker has found a pretty monumental little note that we have.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Keep going, Leo.
Okay. Yeah, but anyways, we're super lucky to have Spencer on our side. He's a local artist, lives out in Thousand Oaks. We kind of gave him the rundown of what we wanted, and it started pretty simply with, yeah, you go ahead, Parker.
All right. So this album cover right there, see the EP, and the
Right.
Gates of Twilight kind of played out the same way. But so this is, we met Spencer, and we're trying to communicate what we want. So I'm not the greatest artist, but I put down this very monumental sketch here. It's reversed because of the camera. A little piece of note paper,
I
and
love it.
this is what became the EP album cover.
Wow. Wow. Spencer saw the vision. She saw something, man.
Mhm. Yep.
That's great, man. Where did you meet Spencer?
Well, he works at a tattoo shop out here in Thousand Oaks. So we were looking around for artists, and we're just thinking like, well, let's find a tattoo artist, as opposed to going on the internet and finding some dude who's in some other place. Like, no, let's see,
Right.
there's a bunch of tattoo artists around here. So just looking through, because a lot of these guys, they have their portfolio somewhere online. So just looked around, and we came across Spencer, and we contacted him, and yeah, he was stoked, and he's the guy, man. He
That's
also
Yeah,
cool.
did. I have all this artwork here too. He did that came out with
Oh,
him.
wow. That
We
is
got the,
his.
but yep.
Look at that. Man,
yeah. I
that is
remember when
awesome.
we came across Spencer's profile, and he had all this art like listed, like oil paintings and stuff that he's done, and and a lot of it was like nature and stuff, and it was very like in tune with the kind of music we were writing, and it had all these contrasts, and
Uh,
we work with contrast. That's kind of what we base everything on. And so he just seemed like the guy. We contacted him, and we just hit it off straight off the bat.
Man. Yeah, it's sensational, man. And like you say, I mean, it's part of it becomes part of the music. For me it does, when I see that now, I think about the music. And when I think about the music, that's kind of the vision I get is, the cover. So they work hand in hand. And again, something I miss in a lot of the music today. There are great bands doing great things, but there's not a visual, there's not I
Yeah.
can't see the album cover, it's
It's
like
it's a
something's
very
missing.
important connection. It's the same thing with the music and then lyrics. It's the same thing. They go hand in hand. And I know Spencer, when he draws these things, he's listening to the albums as he's drawing them.
Mhm.
And I think that makes a huge difference too. It makes sense to me that it would.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I mean, being in a band, it's not you kind of even though you think it's just playing the music, but you gotta there's all this other artistic outlets involved. It's your artwork and your album cover and your t-shirts and
Mhm.
your music video and all that stuff. And like being able to work with people who like understand like the fundamental nature of creativity and kind of like can see what you're going for, even though okay, like it's a videographer, he's an artist, he draws. Like if they understand, like, okay, I see where you're coming from, you're gonna get something that all works together really well. And for us, I mean, being two people, we can only stretch ourselves as far as we can, but we try to make as we want to deliver the best thing we can, and that applies across the board. So
And
Yeah.
it's the same with our mixing mastering engineer, Mr. Damien Reynaud. Shout out to him because he fully understands our vision too, and he's
Yeah.
yeah, great.
Yeah, you need the full package. It helps anyway. That's for sure. It's much appreciated. Now you mentioned a little bit of the production of the record. Um, I mean, how involved were you guys producing the record? Very involved.
Yeah, I mean all the way. I mean we're the ones who produced the entire record,
Right.
and then he's the one who basically we tell him a little more of this, a little less of that, bring that up, add some more effects there, and we're involved all the way, man. We're there for every little step, 100% of the time, and that's just how we do it,
Yeah. Do you see ever bringing in somebody perhaps, to do the thing, work the board and do those things as another set of ears?
well, I mean, I would tell you because usually when we go down and record vocals, I'm the guy sitting there pressing record, and he's behind me. So it sure would be nice to have somebody else doing But I mean it's one of those things where if we meet the right people and it's a good thing and they understand the vision, we're totally open to working with more people. But until then, we have something that works and we're going to continue to work with what we have.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Because I think another set of ears and another specific sound. Producers tend to have their sound sometimes where they'll shape a band that necessarily doesn't belong in that shape. And they make it sound like their music instead of the band's a lot of times. And it's sometimes it's great and sometimes it doesn't work. But I mean, you guys got us. It's working. The way you do it works. The sound you're getting is the sound you want, and it's a great sound. So why mess with it? Yeah, that's how I look at it. Um, the dream gig for you guys, from Sweden, from LA. A lot of times I ask this question and I get, Madison Square Garden. That's like one of the top answers that I get. Um, for you guys, the dream gig, maybe the Forum, and something like Sweden Rock or Vakken or something is there a specific gig event that guys would always dreamed about playing?
That's a great question. Great question. I don't really think I think in terms of size necessarily. I don't think the size of the venue is what would give me the ultimate gig. I think it's more so the energy in the place. I mean, you can't beat the loudest place, and the loudest place ain't always necessarily the biggest place, you know.
Right.
So I think for me, it's just a matter of connection. You know, that's what it comes down to. But
That's cool.
that said, you know, I wouldn't mind playing Madison Square Garden or Walk-In or these big places at all.
Right.
That would be most terrific.
Yeah.
I think Leo said it pretty well. I mean, it's you know, it's really about the connection with the people. And when you like, I mean, when we were playing our whiskey show back in July, you know, we played, you know, playing like Storm Child, like you hear like the people like singing your lyrics back at you, you know, and like that's the best thing in the world. And that like, I mean, sure, if we could amplify that from like, you know, 50 people in a club to fucking 50,000 people in a stadium, that would be awesome. You know,
Yeah.
and I think I hopefully, you know, 15, 20 years down the line, or if not sooner or at some point, you know, we'd be able to go around the world and do that. I mean, I think that's the dream. And yeah, of course, you know, all the Wacken and Sweden Rock and Hellfest and all these, you know, huge whatever they got now. So I'm actually going over to SoFi later today. I'm going to see Metallica. So
Yeah.
maybe you know, in due time, we'll be the ones playing at that stadium.
You bet, man. That would be
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah. I just talked with Ben Wells from Blackstone Cherry, and they have a video for a song that they do, Things My Father Said, and I think it's in England. And he sings singer sings like the first two words, and the crowd sings the rest. The bridge, the chorus, the verses, everything. And I'm watching this thing and I'm getting goosebumps. And what does that feel like as an artist when, you wrote this stuff, and, took the time and the efforts to make this song, and you have, thousands of people singing it back to you. It's gotta be just mind blowing. The feeling and the energy off of that is, you can't, there's no words for it. It's crazy. So I can see things like that when I see video like that. It's like, yeah, they didn't even play the song really, it just, but the energy with the crowd is the bond there, that makes it all work for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, you said it, man. I think that's ultimately what it's all about. People are singing along to music like that, especially in the scenario you said. I know that song too. I love that song. I used to listen to it a lot. And
yeah,
it means that somewhere along the line, this made sense to an individual, and they took it to heart and they made it their own. And
yeah,
now you're in a setting where you get to share that emotion with everyone else. And music is ultimately about sharing and becoming one in this very
mhm,
separated world we live in. So I think that's absolutely beautiful, and I do believe that is the pinnacle of what you can accomplish as a musician.
yeah, yeah. Very cool. We're talking about touring. We're talking about playing shows. Do you have a plan? Is there a plan for getting out, playing shows, coming to Chicago, seeing me, hanging out? What are those plans?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have any plans in the works yet for the US. We will be coming out there soon. But right, our immediate thing actually is next from the middle of next April to next June. We're gonna be going over to Europe. So primarily Germany, but we're also planning to do some stuff in France, some stuff in Czechia, and then probably some nearby countries as well. We're still booking everything and getting everything sorted out, but that'll be the next live endeavor for the band. And then after that, hopefully the plan is to come back out here to LA, and then we'll do another record, and then hopefully for tour it'll either be, maybe late 2024 if we can get something going, or 2025 for sure. But
Yeah, and I
yeah.
will say too, with the European tour we're doing, we have three festivals confirmed. Only one of which I can say the name of right now, which is Keep It True Festival in Germany. So we're really really looking forward to that, and all the fans reaching out will finally get to meet some of them, hang out in the merch booth, and yeah, goddamn, we're excited.
That's great, man. That's great. And that, I want to shout out to the European metal crowd, and as well all these other countries, really it's huge. I see festivals out there, people show out. They're coming out, playing along, singing along, shouting along, fists in the air, loving every minute of it. I think we need a little bit more of that here in the States, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not nothing negative about the States, but I mean
No.
I will say of course there is something different about the audience and the culture in Europe, and
Yeah.
it's special, and we're really excited to go out and get a taste of that.
Yeah. I'm excited to see you guys doing it. And it's only gonna get bigger, man. From what you guys do. New video coming out on Friday. You're writing another record. It's you know, it's all happening, man. I'm excited to watch you guys grow, and I'm really hoping to see you here in the Midwest, in the United States. That would be great, man.
Yeah, we're hoping to get out there as soon as we can, man. We'll be there as
Yeah.
soon as we can.
Awesome, man. Hey, Parker, Leo, I appreciate you guys. Get the word out, and make this thing grow, man.
Thanks for having us, man. Means the world.
Absolutely.
Thanks again
Absolutely.
for having us. Really quick,
Got it.
last note. For anybody watching this, if you are interested in purchasing any CDs or merch, you can find those available at wingsofsteelband.com. If you would like to check out our music, it's available on every big digital platform known to man: YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever. All right.
Yes. All the links in the description.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Vinyls in the making. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Yes.
Late 2023.
That's just great to hear, man. I want that big artwork, man. I want to hear the needle drop for sure. All right. I'll see you guys. Take care. Be well. I'll see you next time.
Take care, Scott.
Peace,
All
man.
right. See ya.